everybody. How we doing? Welcome back to Mantle Motivations. I am your host, Dominique Bishop, and today I have with me Jocelyn Winston of Chicago, Illinois. What's going on, Jocelyn? How you doing?
Hey, hey, Dominique, how are you?
Good. I can also say, what up, cuz?
What up, cuz? All the way from Chi-Town?
That part, Chi-Town in Georgia in the house. Here we go.
Yes, Chi-Town
All
in
right, so,
Georgia in the house.
yeah. So let me go ahead and introduce you all to Jocelyn. So, for as long as she can remember, Jocelyn Winston has enjoyed singing. And because of her intense love of music, she has made it her business to study a wide variety of musical styles. This is why the repertoire that Jocelyn Winston and Eclectic Soul have developed since coming together approximately 2 years ago is so diverse and ultimately so impressive. It includes such genres as soul, R&B, jazz, reggae, classic rock, and even gospel. Winston, who holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in musical theater from Chicago's Columbia College, and her hip band have developed a stellar reputation throughout the Chicago area and beyond. These accomplishments has led to this amazing vocalist being able to work with the following artists. Listen for these names, y'all. Bilal, Chaka Khan, Chris Robb, Detour Jazz Funk, Jennifer Hudson, Ledisi, Mariah Carey, Mask, Midnight Sun, Morris Ellis Orchestra, Rashawn Patterson, Teresa Griffin, The Fat Cats, Tia Bay, Walt Whitman and the Soul Children of Chicago, Leon Timbo, Percy Beatty, Cherise Scott, Sheree Reed, Mask, which they also got a Grammy nom for. Shout out for the Grammy nom. And she has also opened up for Kendrick and the Family Soul and Shantae Moore. Amazing. Jocelyn Winston and Eclectic Soul also has performed at some of the Chicago area's most popular spots for live entertainment. This includes such well-known establishments like Reva's, Carmine's, Back Room, Sullivan's, and Exposure Tapas. They've even presented a concert at the Windy City's beloved Taste of Chicago, one of my favorite things I used to do in Chicago. And in case of talent alone, possessed by Winston and her crew, which counts such legends as Aretha Franklin, Chaka Khan, Ella Fitzgerald, and Stevie Wonder among their musical influences, isn't remarkable enough. Their ability to tailor performances to a client's specific needs is yet another reason for their growing popularity. Not only are they considered by their countless fans as being one of the Midwest's most exciting full live bands, Jocelyn Winston and Eclectic Soul is also the one to call whenever a first rate quartet, trio, or duo is needed for an event. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jocelyn Winston.
Yay!
Yay! So tell me real quick, is there anything that I missed or anything you need to add to that amazing bio?
I've we've also did the Eddie Fest. Shout out to one of the best Chicago event planners, Juan Teagues.
Hmm.
Um, got me on the Eddie Fest, and we had a great time. Opened up for on one stage in Farley was coming up. So we opened up for Farley before it rained. So that was like
Okay,
really huge to be
that's
able to
dope.
be part of to do house music and to incorporate R&B, jazz, and all of the stuff that Chicago is as a melting pot musically, and then
Yeah, yeah.
incorporate house music to be that caveat because we love to dance and we love music. So
Oh yeah, house music is my jam, man. I can't get enough of it. It doesn't matter where I'm at. When house music come on, I'm dancing. No doubt about it. House
you
music
have
is it.
to, it takes precedent. It
It
takes
does
precedent.
over
Um,
everything.
we always looked for the remixes of songs that we grew up listening to because at some
Mhm.
point the most well famous of DJs would get a hold of an R&B jam or something and get that disco version and it we ate them up from there. So House music is it's a staple. It's like jazz, it's like classical, but with a twist and with all the components to it. So
Yeah.
it'll always be a part of our foundation.
It is. It's one of the building blocks of music in Chicago. And I don't care where you are or where you're from, Chicago does it best. I'm sorry. It's just, it is what it is. Everybody has their own rendition of house music. New York got theirs. Baltimore got theirs. Everybody got their own, but Chicago
We have the
has that.
percolator, so it's
Has
time for the
that. All
percolator.
right.
It's time for the percolator.
You can't top that, right?
Gotta take that
Oh
Miss Dage, brighter days.
man. Oh my God. And what one of my favorite ones I love to hear? Follow Me. I love that.
Yes, another one, all of it. Follow
Yeah.
me, all of it.
And it's when I listen to certain house music mixes, if they don't have certain songs on there, I'm not listening to it. It's like I need my staples or it's not gonna work. If we can get a good James Brown house mix in there too,
Listen, you're not a
yeah,
Chicagoan unless you have a JB mix.
that
You
part.
don't have a JB mix?
Out, done,
Period.
cut. DJ, get out. Over with. One artist that I accidentally forgot to mention that you have worked with. Shout out to R. Kelly, for real. Yeah, I know you worked with him a while ago,
I got a
and
chance to I got a chance to be very to accept the assignment to do a session, a studio session for
mhm,
Mr. Kelly. And it was about that work. It was about that perfection. It was about that
yeah,
studio etiquette. It was about getting in to understand why you were there. It was about listening to the work of building on top of your vocals and working with
mhm,
other artists and vocalists in the building with you.
mhm,
It was no time for anything other than listening to the parts that you needed to hear. Stack
yeah,
this, sing that, make that sound fuller, have a choir sound, bring in three, come in two for people that
mhm,
understand what I'm talking about as far as doing session work and background work. I
right,
wasn't focused on the person more than I was focused and driven by the work.
exactly, exactly
Definitely by the work.
that part. And tell me real quick about your experience with Mariah Carey.
That session was fun. She wanted somebody to do something different for Through the Rain.
Hmm.
Everybody knows that's kind of like a nice little slow song, but Maurice Joshua received a assignment and I arranged the backgrounds and did some things, some splash color that she liked.
Yeah,
So then it was, okay, I like her voice, but can you stack around it? So we had Kim English, Donica to come in, Byron Stingsley, and I'm leaving out one person. I'm not sure. I don't have the
hmm,
persons, but those people were very instrumental getting into the studio. Donica is a legend in her own right in the show theater.
hmm,
Kim English, that was my first tour. She's a legend in her own right. Rest in peace and rest in heaven. And Byron Stingsley, he's the, person from Tin City. So to him, for me to do backgrounds for him, but he had to come in and do an assignment with my voice on it and take the tenor section and make it a little bit more meatier. It was an
yeah.
honor to hear that. So through the
I
rain,
love it. I
through the
love
rain.
that. So the background, that's your arrangement.
Yeah, my
That's
voice
dope.
is included, and the arrangement is definitely mine.
That's what's up. Shout out Cuzzo. I love it. All right. So Jocelyn, you've performed in so many genres, from soul to jazz to gospel. How has your diverse musical journey empowered you as a woman in the industry?
It has empowered me to learn how to be well-rounded
Mm-hmm.
and still be able to be flexible. I think they figured that women are not that diverse, or when they like to box you into a certain realm. I went to Curie High School, so shout out to my high school. I do have my t-shirt on. Um, that was where between high school and college is where I got the meat of my tutelage of being well-rounded in classical, being rounded in gospel, being
Yeah.
rounded in R&B, going
Yeah.
to Roosevelt University,
Mm-hmm.
being rounded, well-rounded in vocal jazz, being rounded
Mm-hmm.
in classical, world music. I learned how to speak in different languages. And that's not easy, but when it is, it becomes fun, and it
Mm-hmm.
just makes you that much more hungry to research the Sarah Vaughns, the Leontine Prices, the Jesse Normans, the Chaka Khans, the Jill Scotts, the Ledisis, to see
Yeah.
the women that have come before me that have worked, the Yolanda Adams that worked in education before my spiritual godfather, Thomas Whitfield, discovered her and
Mm-hmm.
teaching kindergarten. She became now what we know a household name.
Yeah.
Um, the Clark sisters, I grew up listening to them
Yeah.
feverishly, picking out parts, singing
Oh yeah.
riffs, listening to Miss Twinkie, Mama Twinkie, Auntie Twinkie playing riffs, listening to my own mother, watching my
Mm-hmm.
own mother in a boy, a man dominated world. It wasn't
Yeah.
cool for girls to know music. It wasn't cool for girls to know your key. You're just a
Yeah.
dumb vocalist, go over there and sing. No,
Yeah.
if it had not been for, people that stood in the gap for me to say, hey, come over here, learn this, or get your ear keen to this. And then we
Mhm.
met up, we come from a musically inclined family,
Yes, we do.
and it empowered me to be sharp, to not to be taken advantage of by the book.
Mhm. That part. That part. So I can say I'm grateful for that, for being in a musically inclined family on both sides. To the point where you can sit down and you can hit a note and I can sing it for you, or I can at least hum it. So I figured out at a young age I had an ear. May he rest in peace, Squeeze, Jimmy. When we started our group Nia, back in the day, um, and he would sit down with me and he was like, I want you to sing this. And he would hit the C and then he'd hit another and he was like, and that's when I found out I had a little bit of range too. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't profess to be a singer's singer, but I can carry a tune. You know what I mean? I can carry a tune. It took me a minute to be comfortable to sing and sing out. That was one of my biggest struggles, not really singing out because I wasn't confident. But I'm grown now, so
Yep.
don't make that face.
It's the confidence. Once
That part.
somebody like teaches you what you can do, the
Mhm.
confidence is like the component plugging something, plugging into plugging an outlet. Once you got the
Yeah,
connection, don't look back. And
yeah,
when somebody puts their oil on you, Squeeze was around when I was in high school. He, impressed upon, pressed upon me to do better and go above and beyond and not just be typical. Be different. It's okay to sound different. You don't want to sound like everybody.
that part. Yeah. I think I was telling you before, because I started playing drums at 10 and he was there around that time at the church. And he was the one that was telling me to listen to different genres of music, not just gospel. Listen to jazz, listen to classical, listen to rock, listen to this. He was like, "You listen to reggae, listen to, you gotta learn, you gotta be a well-rounded drummer. You can't just be stuck in the 4/4. You can't, you
Chaka
know what I
Khan
mean?
played drums. A lot of people don't know that.
Hmm. Yep, I know that.
And she's good, you
She
know.
is.
She
She
can hold a
is.
pocket. She's not a slouch. So she can understand to seeing things on a different count, come in, come out,
Hmm.
because she had an
On a
ear.
upbeat, on a downbeat. Yep.
Yes. Yes. Tell
Yep.
me something good. Tell
That
me
part.
something good is that very song that we talk about that has a different tempo than, coming in. So
Hmm. Another one that I found out, Karen Clark Sheard. She's a drummer too. A lot of people don't know that. Just they just know her for singing, but she can get on the drums and do her thing too. So yeah. So I love it. I love it. Here we go. So this month is Women's History Month, and that is one of the reasons why we're doing this interview. We're closing out the month with a bang. So with honoring trailblazers, like you've been talking about, um, and you named some women that have inspired you, but what are some of the others who have inspired you on your path that you had not spoken of?
woo, my list is long.
I believe it.
That I can like rattle off. Some I would need to write down. Patty Austin was a favorite of mine, always has been. She has a voice that is very distinct. When you hear her with your eyes closed, you automatically can say, "Hey,
Yeah.
that's Quincy Jones's goddaughter. That's Patty," because
Okay.
Patty has a voice like none other. I grew up listening to Angelique Kidjo. She's a African artist from Benin, Africa.
Mhm.
Love her huskiness. Her voice is also different. Um, Sarah Vaughan doesn't sing the same run twice. So when I
Mm.
do gospel, when I do jazz, anything recorded in the studio, you have to have a very quick finger, as they say,
Yeah.
because I won't sing the same riff twice because I won't remember it. But
Mm.
that's because I got a lot of notes in my brain.
Patty,
Um,
gifted.
yeah, music is that component that stays with me, that keeps me.
Hmm.
And listening to a variety of music just really just enlightens me and just can keep me posted all night. Like Brazilian music to listen to, um, Astrud Gilberto, her father, the Jivan. I'm
Hmm.
a fan of if I ever. Jivan is that guy that makes it sound so elegant, and his voice again is different. So
Hmm.
I listen to the way that people speak. I listen to their tones because I know my voice is different. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you brought that up about the different genres of music and opening up. Um, I think I told you a story. I remember when I was younger and I was hanging out with you. I was at Grandma Bishop's house for the summer, and you were with me, and you were like, "You want to get out of here? You want to come hang out with me?" And I was like, "Yes, please." So we we went to one of your friends' house, and MTV was on. And it's so significant because, I grew up in a very strict religious household, you
yeah, we
know,
both did.
that part. So, listening to certain music was out of the question. If I was in the house, I couldn't listen to certain music. I could listen to it on the way to school. I could hide the stuff in my book bag. I could do all that. But in the presence, of course, it was a no-no. So
Right.
when we went to your friend's house and MTV was on, I would never forget Alanis Morissette's song was playing.
Which one?
Ironic.
It's like
Ironic. The one
rain,
where it's four of her and they're in the car singing to each other. And you and your friend was like
rain,
that part. And y'all was into the song and I was like, what is this? She was like,
who wanna
girl, this a lot of
party?
Morissette. And I was
My
just so,
childhood, you
yeah,
know,
yeah. I was so
MTV.
into that.
MTV was wow, the 90s was a great musical explosion for all of
It
us.
was. It
We
was.
had it visually, we had it on the radio, we had
Yep.
it via on videos where we wouldn't have to pay, or, you know, it was
Hmm.
that phenomenon that was blowing up to be able to see the music and to see the video and express it, to carry it with you from memory. Ironic was about Alanis Morissette really being free and coming across like, hey, isn't it ironic that,
Yeah,
life is just, what it is. And she's driving the car and she's having that conversation of just,
yeah,
enjoying what it is just to be
yeah,
in that ride. No, Beat It was the
yeah.
first Michael Jackson video for Black people to see. And
Iconic.
David Bowie kind of was like, hey, if you guys don't start showing more Black videos, I'm gonna. And so they had to. And so, yeah, back then it
Yeah.
was great.
And I appreciate that because you had to have, a lot of allies back then, like David Bowie, who was like, hey, you guys got to step it up. You know what I mean? And then by the time we get to the late 90s, 2000, the countdowns, we took over the countdowns, over with. And then, BET 106 and Park was out. Man, I mean,
We
like you
had
said,
we
the
had
90s
we had
was a
as
great
black
musical
we had
explosion.
as Black people had to make the statement that
Hmm.
this is our music. We have a story to continue to tell
Yep,
that can't be snuffed, that can't be silenced.
yep, yep.
So the 90s and the 2000s were pivotal politically, pivotal globally, pivotal cinematically,
Hmm.
because Spike Lee introduced a lot of music, a lot of directors. John Singleton introduced a lot of soundtracks.
Yeah,
Antoine Figueroa and introduced a lot of soundtracks for Black people to say,
yeah.
hey, we're on the cinema, but we have music to match it.
I love that. I love that syncing of film and music together because it is just like music videos where you have the storyline with the music. A music helps push the storyline of a movie.
It's our
You know,
soundtrack.
Yep, yep. It helps push it. And when you're watching that movie and you hear that song come on and it evokes so much emotion and it draws you in. I love that. Like I'm a huge movie person, of course music, but movies and then combine the two together, a recipe for amazingness. Um so real quick, we'll talk about Chaka Khan for a sec. So you've worked with icons like Shaka and Mariah. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned from collaborating with such legendary artists?
Timing,
Mhm.
um, being organized, knowing your music, knowing and having your music business together, your contracts, knowing where you're supposed to be
Yeah,
when you're needed. Again, being flexible, um, not afraid to step out if it gets difficult.
hmm.
I
So
think sometimes we get caught up in the moment and don't realize, if you want to go to that extra level, you're going to be slightly uncomfortable so you can
hmm,
get the job done.
hmm. Being in the studio, has there ever been a moment where you've had to how can I say, hey guys, stop the presses. We gotta break this all down and do it over again. What's that process like?
Um, Feeling the song.
Hmm.
I've had a couple of projects that I've done where I get in my own head, I get in my way, and I don't feel comfortable in the booth. And it will show via recording because it shows that I don't feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
different
what
live.
is different? What?
It's different live
What's the
than it
difference?
is. So you have the adrenaline, you have the people, you're in control. You're not in control in the booth because it's just you now. It's a
Mm,
feeling, it's a vibe. You have to create and know dead on when you're singing, feel good about it, or you're working it out.
gotcha. So
Sometimes
what,
it could take one take and sometimes it could take 99.
got you. So what, was the question I just had? Um, what's that tug of war like? Like how do you or how would you go about resolving a conflict with tug of war? Let's say, for example, like you just said, you're not necessarily feeling the song or um you're feeling maybe too vulnerable or not vulnerable enough. And the engineer is asking for something else, but you don't feel like going in that direction. Like, how would you go about solving that issue?
Either I can step away for a day, come back, give me some
Mhm,
time. Not time like, oh, I need a week, but depending if I'm in my own head or whatever, or if I'm not feeling well, or if like sick wise I've had to turn down a session, or have had a session with illness that kind of like knocked me out of the catapult.
mhm.
So it was like, you
Yeah.
know can we wrap this up in 2 days, or can we come back, or let me lay down and let me get back up, or let me take a break, step away for a few hours and come back. I've had really
Mhm.
generous engineers that understood the the need. I know
Mhm.
with RJ and the assignment, when Tom Schumann was the pretty much the engineer behind it, about the brains are behind it.
Mhm.
They can say all the good stuff that you want to hear, but you might want to hear somebody say, that note was off that you did, let's do that again. Or they hear the magic happening and they like, they know how to catch it. I like
Yeah,
engineers like that.
that's dope. So, for people who aren't familiar with being in a studio setting, can you kind of paint the picture? I know we've seen stuff in movies, but from a personal perspective, can you kind of paint the picture of what's that like?
Sure. I like to tell people that desire to be singers, if you ever go into the studio, be open and know what you want to do. Make sure
Hmm.
you are definitely warmed up, because you don't want to be the type of singer to where your vocals are not healthy because you've not taken care of yourself the night before.
Mm,
That's happened. Or you get whatever reason and you feel like, okay, I don't have any more. But be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace.
yeah.
You're creating. You're the artist. You're the painter behind the paintbrush, vocally in the air. So you're coming to, an understanding that I can be creative. So you ask God, hey, let this come out. I did redid a song called
Hmm.
Jamaica Love from Night Winds, Mr. Silk and Night Winds. And I went in thinking one thing,
Hmm.
sang a little bit, but the rest of them, they were like, that was so great. And I'm sitting here like, "Uh, really? But you might hear something different. So give yourself grace, have confidence. It helps, because if you don't, it'll show.
That part. So, what kind of process do you do the night before? Let's say you have a studio session or a live session that you're doing. What would you do the day before or the night before to prepare yourself?
Get the words down. I mean, I'll be the artist to admit, because some artists don't speak on their strengths or their weaknesses. Learn the
Hmm.
words, learn
Yeah.
the words, and learn what the song is about. Because sometimes you may get the song that day. So if you get the
Hmm.
song that day, listen to it, go over it. You know that "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman" by Aretha Franklin is not a gospel song. It's a feel-good song, but it's also letting you know that her man makes her feel like $1 million. So you would want to make sure that you understand to hit certain dynamics. You make me feel like a natural woman. You want to sing that from the heart. So
Yeah.
learn the words, know what the song is, enjoy what you're singing, know why you're singing it. And if it's a song that you know that you ain't rocking with because the basis of the song is something you don't believe in, don't sing it.
I heard that.
Don't sing it. Don't
Stand up
sing
for
it.
something.
Stand up for something. If you know that you don't believe in adultery, don't sing a song about creeping in the next room. Period. There's
Yes.
certain songs I do not perform or
Hmm.
sing because of that, fun or not.
Right.
If it
Right.
has too much sexual something, something where it feels like I'm being compromised or cursing too much, no, I'll stand back.
I heard that. Morals and values.
Have to have them.
Got to, especially in the music industry. Especially in the music industry.
Gospel music has taken a turn. I guess I can
Mm.
say this now because I'm a Gen Xer
Hmm.
and because I've watched the gospel industry go from, oh, it's okay to put a little something, something in there to now it's like, hey, wait a minute, isn't that a secular song that you're trying to put in? Yeah, so, we gotta make sure that we don't like cross that line. So,
Yeah.
because we have to keep
So
worship, worship.
true. So I know one thing that I've noticed, we're not gonna harp on gospel music too much because I don't want people to think we tearing it down or what have you.
We not,
Um,
we not.
I love I love gospel music. I love it. I love it all. I love the even the gospel rap and some certain
Hey,
certain
come
stuff.
on with it.
It's something for
Come on with it.
everybody, right? Um, but with gospel, I have even noticed a change too. But at the same time, I've come up during I was with the generation that came out with Stomp. So
Yes, that was a good one.
so I remember when Stomp came out and all of the elders were like, "What is this?" You know what I mean? And now look at Kirk Franklin. You know what I mean? So it's always something like that because even when who was it? Tasha Cobb Leonard, and when she did that crossover with Nicki
Nicki
Minaj.
Minaj.
Yeah. And people came
And,
at her.
and now Kirk is with Glorilla. So I'm just like,
Right. And so it's like, and
I want to reach the kids,
mhm,
but I want them to really be understood that it's a line musically. Aretha Franklin was that auntie for us church kids that she started in the church, but when we found out the under stuff that we weren't being told because it
mhm,
wasn't us to know, she
yeah,
wanted you to understand. She knew that there was a difference.
mhm,
She knew that where her strength lies, she needed the gospel music. She was a child of the church, but she also knew that singing with her sisters, save a little prayer for you, respect, think,
mhm,
Spanish Harlem, which was one of my first pieces that I choreographed something in high school because that song had a drive and a beat to it that just made me just it wouldn't let me go. But it
yeah,
made me think of church, how it just little moseyed on along, had a little shuffle to it. La la
yeah,
la 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 la. La 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 la. I mean, it
yeah,
was it was a nice little Doom, 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 doom.
And
It was a
it's so
nice
funny
little
because
hook.
you just singing that little la 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 part, low key, it took me to the Clark sisters. For us, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Detroit, Michigan.
yeah, yep,
Auntie
yep,
Riri, Michigan. Listening to
yep, yep,
Commissioned and the Winans, Michigan. Motown, Michigan, Detroit. You see what
yep,
I'm saying?
yep,
Michael Jackson,
yep,
Gary, Indiana, Chicago, Chess Records, the Tommies.
yep.
You know, it was there. If you a Chicago kid, you either coming up in a church or you coming up understanding a little blues, a little R&B, but it all went together because everybody knew somebody of somebody. So we couldn't really get
Yeah,
away from Mahalia Jackson and Inez Andrews and the Soul Stirrers and Sam Cooke and them. We couldn't get away from that. That's
yeah.
Chicago.
It sure is.
West
Sure is.
Side, South Side, East
Yep.
Side. Whose broadcast were you going to?
Right. Right.
You know, we
Mm,
listen to it. That's Chicago. We can't negate from that. House music is gospel, blues, Johnny Taylor, Jerry Butler, rest in heaven. You know what I'm saying? Lou
yep.
Rawls.
Yep.
That's us. That's Chicago.
That's all of
You can't get away from that. Radio stations, you can name them. If you're all things Chicago, you're going to start rattling off the WJPCs, the WBMXs, the KKC, the, WNUA. We had it in
it.
Chicago. That was
Yep.
ours.
Yep. Yep.
Automatic redirection.